Today, we're digging into how virtual reality is completely flipping the world of architecture on its head. We're going from flat, confusing blueprints to fully immersive worlds. And look, this isn't some far-off sci-fi dream. It's a tool that lets you literally walk through your future home before anyone even breaks ground. And this quote, it just nails it. For centuries, architects had their own language, right? A language of lines and symbols, and it was up to you, the client, to try and translate that into a feeling, a vision of what your home would be. Well, now, with VR, that's all changed. Instead of asking you to imagine it, designers can just let you in.
So, here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the old-school problem that VR solves. Then we'll see how it's used on massive construction sites, how it totally changes client relationships, and how you can even use it at home. And finally, we'll wrap up with what this all means for the future of design. All right, let's jump in.
For literally centuries, the entire language of building was flat, just lines on a piece of paper. And this forced every client to do some serious mental gymnastics, trying to imagine, okay, how will this room actually feel? Will the light hit this wall in the morning? Is this hallway going to feel spacious or just tight? It created this huge gap between the design and the actual lived-in reality.
But now, the shift is just massive. Instead of squinting at a floor plan, a client can put on a headset and walk through a full-scale model of their house. And get this, out on the actual construction site, a supervisor isn't unrolling dusty paper plans anymore. They can use augmented reality to overlay the digital model right onto the real world, spotting where a pipe is going to clash with a beam before it becomes a $1,000 problem.
So let's be super clear here. This is not a video game. It's a professional tool for creating interactive, photorealistic spaces that you can truly experience. You can see exactly how the morning sun is going to stream into your kitchen, or you might suddenly realize, whoa, that couch is way too big for this room. You're not just looking at a picture anymore. You are inside the design.
All right, so let's go where the stakes are the absolute highest. We're talking about massive, complex construction projects, where one tiny mistake that someone missed on page 37 of the blueprints can end up costing millions of dollars.
Now, before we really dive into the professional VR side of things, we got to talk about something called BIM. And here's the best way to think about it. If a normal 3D model is like the body of a building, BIM is the brain. Every single object in that model knows what it is. A pipe knows its material, its diameter, its flow rate. A beam knows its structural load. It's all this intelligent data that really fuels the whole VR experience.
And to actually handle these enormous, data-packed models, the pros use some serious heavy hitters. We're talking about specialized platforms like Autodesk Workshop XR and Resolve AI. These are the industrial-grade powerhouses that make this all possible on a huge scale. And these things are way more than just viewers. They're basically virtual meeting rooms. You can have engineers from 3 different continents all standing together inside a virtual mechanical room, looking at a piece of equipment to see if it'll actually fit through the door. They can flag a problem, and that issue gets synced directly back to the design team. They can even just point out a random pipe and see every single bit of data about it.
So what's the bottom line? It's all about catching those incredibly expensive mistakes before they happen. The pipe that's about to run right through a steel beam, or the access panel that's completely blocked. VR makes these kinds of problems impossible to miss. It saves a staggering amount of time, money, and just pure frustration. It's a total shift from build it, then fix it, to get it perfect, then build it.
Okay, finding engineering clashes is huge, no doubt. But honestly, the biggest revolution here might be how VR completely transforms the most important relationship in any project, the one with the client. It just replaces all the guesswork with pure certainty.
And the numbers on this are, well, they're pretty wild. Projects that use VR get their designs approved about 60% faster. And the reason is so simple. The client isn't trying to guess how a space will feel based on a drawing. They are in the space, making decisions with confidence, and that speeds everything up.
And that confidence, it has this incredible ripple effect. You see a 62% drop in those late-stage, super expensive change orders. I mean, think about it. When a client can virtually stand in their future kitchen and say, yep, I love it, that's the one, they're not going to suddenly change their mind after the drywall's already up.
The return on investment is just a no-brainer. VR builds trust, it prevents costly rework, and it closes that awful gap between what a client expects and what they actually get. But maybe the coolest part is that it turns clients from being passive observers in a meeting into active, excited partners in creating their own space.
But look, this tech is not just for billion-dollar construction firms and giant skyscrapers anymore. Let's talk about how it's empowering pretty much anyone with a headset and a dream of redecorating their living room.
And, of course, the whole focus shifts in the consumer world. The professional tools are all about technical accuracy, data, safety, making sure the building doesn't fall down. Consumer apps, they're about answering a much more personal question. Is this couch going to look good next to my bookshelf?
IKEA Creative is such a perfect example of this. It's just an unbelievably practical tool. You use your phone to scan your room, and boom, you've got this interactive 3D model of your own space. Then, and this is the magic part, you can just digitally erase your old furniture and start dropping in new, perfectly scaled IKEA products to see how they look and fit. It literally takes you from an idea straight to a shopping cart.
Then you've got another really popular one, Planner 5D, which takes this whole idea of home design and pushes it a step further by mixing in AI to get you started.
So with this, you can just upload a photo of your room, and its AI will instantly spit out a bunch of design concepts in different styles. But what's really powerful is that you're not stuck with the AI's idea. You can then jump into a full editor, fine-tune everything with this massive library of items, and then take a VR walkthrough of your brand new room, all before you've spent a single penny.
So after all that, what's the big picture? What's the new reality that VR has created for the entire world of design and architecture?
The key takeaway is this. VR is becoming a universal language for design. It's a translator. For the pros, it translates incredibly complex data into a tangible experience you can walk through, which cuts down on risk and skyrockets confidence. And for the rest of us, it puts the power of a designer right into our hands, letting us create our own perfect spaces with absolute certainty.
And you have to wonder, where does this go next? The future is going to be even more immersive. I mean, imagine not just seeing your new kitchen, but through advanced haptics, actually feeling the cool texture of the marble countertops, or the warmth of the sun coming through a window. As that line between the digital design and the physical world keeps getting blurrier, we're not just designing buildings anymore, we're crafting human experiences, and we're doing it all before a single nail is hammered.